Welcome to A Slob Comes Clean, the podcast. I'm Dana K. White. I blog over at aslobcomesclean.com. That's where I share my personal deslobification process. As I figure out ways to keep my own home under control, I share the truth about cleaning and organizing strategies that actually work in real life for real people who don't love cleaning and organizing. Thanks for joining me today. This is podcast number 192, I think. Yes. And I'm calling it experience gifts versus stuff gifts. Okay, if I had said that out loud before just now, I might have changed my mind on what I was going to call it. But anyway, so I'm talking about, experience gifts, and meaning gifts that are giving someone an experience as opposed to things. Okay. And some pros and cons of that, some things to think about that. I'm going to start with facts and philosophy, and then I'm going to give you just a really big list of great ideas that I've gotten from. Some of them are mine, and a lot of them are yours that people have shared with me over on Instagram. Make sure you're following me over there, Instagram.com/aslobcomesclean, or just look up A Slob Comes Clean on Instagram, and you will find me because it's really fun over there. Okay. So I'm talking about experience gifts, and the reason why this is a logical topic for us to talk about here on A Slob Comes Clean is that we talk a lot about clutter. Everybody has a clutter threshold, and there's only so much that you can handle in your own home. And this is something that comes up every year at Christmas, especially among people with kids, is how do I deal with the influx of stuff coming in? I have other podcasts from years past where I've talked about that specifically. But this one, I'm talking about experience gifts as an alternative or as something to kind of buffer the whole, I'm not saying no stuff gifts, just because I have kids, and I'm sorry, but that's really sad to them. That would be really sad to them. That's what they look forward to. That's what I looked forward to. I looked forward to opening gifts. But as a way to, okay, I really want to show my love, I'm going to focus on experience gifts. And I think it definitely changes with the ages of the kids. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But basically, that's the reason we're talking about this is, using experience gifts as a way to prevent clutter. Okay. You can believe and argue, and that's perfectly great. The whole value of them over, getting stuff, that's fine. But let's talk about it just with the idea that, clutter is the thing that we're trying to avoid. So here's some facts and philosophy. Now, when I say facts, y'all know I mean things I've experienced or things that I have observed or whatever. I'm not talking about actually doing research on data, although I'm sure there's research and data to support it. But anyway, facts. Kids play better with less stuff. Parents know this, right? It can be really frustrating until I decided to not let it be a frustration anymore and just embrace it, where we would have so many toys in a space, so many toys. And then it would become this crazy mass of toys. And then I would clean it out, or I would, make it where there's just an empty room or a big old empty floor space. And all of a sudden my kids played forever. I mean, it's just reality. Try to think of with your own kids, how you've experienced that, how it was, they had all these different choices. They said they had nothing to do. They only had one choice. They were busy and happy. So, I mean, remembering that is a fact based on my experience and your experience. I'm sure there's data, but whatever. And another fact is there does come a point where you have too much stuff. I mean, the container concept is the big thing I talk about all the time, which is there is only so much space in any home for so much stuff. I mean, you can't keep bringing stuff in without having stuff go out, and that's always an option to declutter before Christmas time, all that kind of stuff. But the reality is there is a point where there is too much stuff to be able to handle. No more will fit, whatever. Other facts. Gifts need to focus on the best interest of the receiver. Now, I'm going to preach to the choir here on both ends. If you're the giver, I'm talking to you right now. Gifts need to focus on the best interest of the receiver. Okay? So think about what it is that they need, can handle, will make their eyes light up, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you're the giver, remember that. But if you're the receiver, you need to focus on the giver more than the gift. Okay, so I don't say those two things for you to place some sort of responsibility on another person. I say those so that in whichever situation you're in of those two, you have the correct perspective for you in your situation, which means if you are receiving a gift, focus more on the giver and the fact that they loved you and the fact that they thought of you than you do on the gift and going, seriously, this is what I got. Does she not know that I blah, blah, blah? Okay. Focus on the person and the fact that the thought was what counted. If you are the giver, think about what's in the best interest of the receiver. So if you're the one giving a gift and you're the one listening to this podcast, then think about the fact that even though you would really, really like to buy such and such, that person simply does not have the room in their house for it. Or maybe they don't have the clutter threshold, or maybe they simply don't want it. But be thinking of what it is that's in the best interest of the other person, okay? Because you can only control yourself, and that's it, and your own thoughts. Okay. I'm going to talk about grandmas versus mamas. And when I say versus, it sounds like I'm talking about some sort of a confrontation. And I'm just going to be honest, from the emails that I get and the things that people say to me in this crazy, weird position that I live in, it sometimes is some sort of a confrontation. Moms complain about about grandparents given more gifts than their kids need. They don't want that much stuff in their home. They don't want that. And yet grandmas complain about mamas not being grateful and thankful that they're wanting to do this for their grandkids. And so I think, again, it's to think of the other person and what's best for them. Let me just tell you what we all want. And I think grandmas are extra wonderful at this and understanding this and knowing that this is the goal. We all want a child's eyes to light up, especially grandmas. I can remember my mom saying when I had my niece, and I think it was her first birthday party, and my mom was talking about what she'd gotten for her, and she just said, she was like, my entire goal is for her eyes to light up when she opens that present. That was more important to her than the sustainability of playing with it. That was more important to her than the educational benefits of this. That was more important to her than the aesthetic that the mama was trying to achieve in the child's bedroom. I mean, not that that was really an issue, but I'm just saying grandmas want to see their grandbaby's eyes light up. Period. That's the goal. Okay. So acknowledge that. And let's look in here and go, okay, so if you're listening to this podcast and you're the grandma, which I have lots of grandmas that listen, which still makes me laugh, y'all. I'm so glad. But I'm like, it just makes it's just shocking to me that there's young moms, there's grandmas, there's people my age, there's all, how many people relate to these issues and listen to a podcast called A Slob Comes Clean, but whatever. Anyway, but be thinking of that, okay? And give some grace on acknowledging that. And here's the other thing too that I want to say. Don't ask grandma to give the experience gifts because you want to be the one who makes the kids' eyes light up, okay? And I'm saying this because I know sometimes like, well, I want to give that gift. Here, you just give them dance lessons that some kids might be beyond thrilled and jumping up and down. And some kids are like, I go to dance lessons anyway. What is the big deal that grandma gave me dance lessons? because she paid for a year's worth. To the kid, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make the kid's eyes light up. That's a gift more to mom than it is to the kid. Do you see what I'm saying? So, it's that, if they are going to get some stuff, then work with people as much as possible to get to share the whole let their eyes light up. Okay? Be the one who makes their eyes light up. I'm more than happy for grandma to be the one to help to make their eyes light up. That's fine. And, I'll get the more practical gifts. But anyway, a couple other things to think about are the budget. Okay. Now, so some of my personally, like some of the stuff that we'll do that are experience gifts, like buying some, I bought some play tickets. Now, technically, everybody knows about these because it just kind of came up. But anyway, I bought some tickets to a play that we're going to go to, I think it's the day after Christmas. And I bought them for the whole family. Even though there are 3 of us that are jumping up and down, so excited to go see this play, and the other 2 are like, y'all can go without us. And I'm like, no, we're going. Okay, so realizing that if it's going to be a family gift, I don't necessarily consider that one a family gift. I just, I'm not like, all right, this came out of the budget, so the cost of your ticket comes out of your budget too for what I have budgeted for gifts. I don't really look at it that way. I look at it more as this is a family thing, and it's kind of in addition to everybody's gifts that they get. Does that make sense? It depends on, and I know that sometimes that depends on if you have a super, super strict budget that you follow. But speaking of budget, with stuff like that, there's something else they don't know about that everybody will be excited about. That I'm spending a little bit more than I would have, that I would be spending if I was just getting them all normal, regular kind of physical items. I spent a little bit more on it, but I view that differently. I don't view it as all coming out of the Christmas budget because it's something I've been wanting us to do as a family anyway. Like it's kind of a family value that I've really wanted us to have this experience together as a family. And Christmas is a really good excuse for me to go ahead and do that and make their eyes light up when they get it. Does that make sense? So it's I kind of compare it to, when you go on vacation and you're going to be gone for, a week. I remember realizing, or somebody saying to me or something at one point where I went, oh, I'm looking at my vacation budget as its own complete separate thing. And then I was like, wait, I can take our eating out budget and our grocery budget for that time when we would be at home, but we're not. And I can add that to my vacation budget. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I kind of look at it as, this is a family value that we have. I'm going to take this out of as opposed to just our Christmas budget, I'm going to take it out of this, family entertainment budget or whatever, that kind of thing. So looking at it that way financially, instead of just saying, wow, okay, well, I spent, X amount of dollars on this, so I've got to delete that, or, subtract that amount from everybody's personal Christmas budget, depending on how budgeted you are. Anyway, other thing too is I'm all for combination gifts. So, especially with little children who are not going to understand necessarily dance lessons or whatever. Even if it's a little girl who's been wanting to get dance lessons, she's expecting to open something under the tree. So what would it be? Well, you can combine something with that makes her eyes light up in the moment. So like for dance lessons, that's easy. Tutus and tap shoes, little girls love tutus and tap shoes, and that's its own exciting thing to open up. Most little girls do, not all do. But, and for me as a mom, when my daughter took preschool dance, I didn't know that she needed to have a tutu. I was like, oh, it says wear a leotard and tights and tap shoes. And so we did that, which was kind of a lot of money to go spend that I hadn't really thought about when I signed up for dance. But, then we get there and all the other little girls are wearing these cute little tutus. So, that kind of stuff is a great little thing to go along with it, as long as it's not just junk, but it's something they could actually use. Maybe it's, if you're getting them pool passes, maybe for an indoor pool they can use in the winter, or that's coming up later, some sort of pool toys to go with that. Or, if you're going on a beach vacation somewhere, getting them, beach toys and things like something so that they have something to go with this experience gift. I feel like with little kids, if your goal is to make their eyes light up, that's kind of important. It's because they can't always understand the experience thing of what's coming later on. So now I'm getting into the actual ideas. I kind of mentioned, a pool pass or dance class or whatever. But here's some ideas. So some of my ideas, especially if you have family that's getting together for the holidays, and sometimes that can be a lovely time, but it can also be a time where the day after Christmas, we're all staying for a couple days. We're all sitting around looking at each other. That can be a great time to, check out Groupons for the area, or just check out unique experiences in the area. And, make that your Christmas gift is we're going to go horseback riding, or we're going to go, zip lining, or whatever it is that you're going to do in that, area for those family members that you're there, so that you have that experience while you're together. Movie theater gift cards. Now, I'm going to say that if I gave movie theater gift cards to my younger kids, they would probably be like, okay, you take us to the movies anyway. So that doesn't really feel like a gift, but it all depends on the person and what the person needs. So like my oldest son, he's 16. He can drive. He went to the movies with his friends the other day. A movie gift card for him is an acknowledgement of, you're getting older, you're more independent, and here you go. Or a movie gift card for another family that is a family outing for them. That's fun. Does that make sense? It's kind of that distinction of knowing what it is that the person needs. Something to go with the movie gift card. A lot of movie theaters now have these refillable popcorn buckets and refillable drink cups. And so you pay one price, and I'm sure you can get them without stuff in it so that you don't, give them used stuff. But anyway, you give them those refillable cups and things, and then it's only like $3.50, $4, something like that at ours, to refill it, and they can get popcorn when they go, or like the drink cup, we can have them fill that with water and we're great. Where a water bottle is like $5, $6. Anyway, let's see. So like Tim Hawkins tickets. Tim Hawkins is a Christian comedian that my kids think is hysterical. And I actually bought tickets last year for that concert. And immediately after buying them, realized that my kids' winter retreat for church was on the same weekend. And so I ended up giving them away to one of you, somebody on the Facebook page. Anyway, just so be sure to check the dates before you do something like that. But I am planning on doing that again this year. Here's another idea for a family, which is, it's kind of a little bit higher priced, but it's non-clutter. And I know it's not a go out and do it right now, but a Prime membership. A Prime has so much now. It has music, it has, movies, video, you get one free Kindle book that you get to check out every month and things like that. So there's a lot there. And, if it's somebody who maybe they're at a stage of life where they're, they don't have the money to buy their own Prime membership, that might be something that they would really enjoy. Horse camp. There are some great horseback riding places. I know we found one near me that my Girl Scouts went to for like a 1-day horse camp in the summer or whatever. And I'm on their email list, and they sent out an email that said, hey, we're, scheduling the week after Christmas. And I know this is different for different places. Here, it's every once in a while it's bad weather, but most of the time it's fine the week after Christmas. But they're doing a horse camp. That would be a great thing to be able to say, I mean, how many little kids dream of riding horses? Look around, ask people. Is there a 1-day horse camp or a 3-day horse camp or something that you can give them and say, okay, you're scheduled to go, 2 days from now or whatever. And maybe they get some cowboy boots to go with that. Or, maybe it's I know little kids have to have a bicycle helmet, usually. Don't quote me on that if it's a different kind of helmet, but they have to have a helmet for, horseback riding. So, maybe that's what they need because they're going to need that supplies to go with it, or a new pair of jeans that, are the perfect kind for riding horses, or I don't know. But, that kind of stuff, I think sometimes too, back to the whole budgeting thing, a lot of times with the experience gifts, one of the things I try to look for is what is my kid mentioned that they would love doing? But it's not necessarily practical for us to say, okay, well, then we're going to go to classes for that 7 nights a week or whatever. Or in your mama mind, you're thinking, do you think they'll really like this or not? Or is this going to be one more of those things that they tried and then they actually didn't like or whatever? Finding this 1-day experience to give them for Christmas lets it be obvious that, you acknowledge that they want to do this and lets them kind of try it out. So I can see using a little bit different budget there because it's more of a kids' activities budget that also goes along with it's a nice thing to get at Christmas. Okay, so here are play tickets. That's one thing it's a family value for us. And I think I already mentioned that, right? We're going to see a play. And 2 of my kids are not excited, but they're going to love it. They will love it. I promise you they're going to love it. Anyway, okay, so here are the responses from you guys over on Instagram. The number one response was a zoo membership. And I love this because zoos are so repeatable. Animals are fun to look at and they're going to be doing different stuff every time you go. They act different in the winter than they do in the summer. I love it. And a lot of zoos now have other ways to enjoy them. Like I know the Dallas Zoo has this whole water area now. It's not a water park, but it's got these little water, very super shallow little water thing that kids can play in. They have a playground, that kind of stuff, so a lot of times it's just a neat place to go again. So I loved that was honestly the number one response was zoo membership. Another is children's museum passes or memberships or just, science museums, things that, consistently are places kids like to go back to again and again. If your budget is super low, a scavenger hunt. And I don't mean like super low, but you can make a scavenger hunt as expensive as you want, but that in itself could be a low cost, experience. Yes, that's the word. Anyway, I love the suggestion that some moms gave of one-on-one days with the day planned out. Like maybe a choice of, okay, this is the thing that you open up this is your day that we're going to do. And on it, you get to select, one of these 3 restaurants that you want to go to. And this might be a special day with grandma or with mom or an aunt or someone. Okay, here's the 3 movies that we're going to go to. You'd have to know. Sorry. You'd have to know, that you were going soon, so you know which movies are out. But having them get to choose that would be something for them to open up. I love one mom shared that each kid gets a one-on-one lunch out and a Barnes & Noble gift card for them to go shopping. Something for adults. I love this. Multiple people shared that they had gifted their husbands a racetrack experience. So I know somebody mentioned Texas Motor Speedway, so I'm assuming that, I think that's in the Dallas area. But a racetrack experience, for adult men, where one of them, it was a NASCAR driver 3 times around the track. Another one, it was a Jeep driving lessons, off-road Jeep driving lessons. Again, Groupon is often a really great place to find that kind of stuff, but ask around. Sometimes these are things that are obscure and you don't know about. You might ask on your personal Facebook for your local friends, hey, what are some great experiences for men? Let's see. Something else that somebody mentioned, and I think they mentioned whenever they would get together as a family, she likes to give this, is a wine class or a trip to a brewery, something where you get to experience. I know there's a Dr. Pepper museum here in Texas that would be a fun, family outing. I say that, but you have to know who it is that's going, right? Okay. Several people mentioned the iFly indoor skydiving, which I know I have seen discount gift cards for that at Costco. So that's something with to check if you're a Costco member, which my book is going to be there in January. Did y'all know that? I'm so excited. Anyway, but one of my books, Decluttering at the Speed of Life, will be there. Anyway, they have a lot of times they'll have like $100 worth of this restaurant's gift cards for $80 or $75 or something like that. Other people suggested concert tickets. I think this is great. My daughter would love that. A whitewater rafting trip as a family, a girls' night out with dinner and a movie. Lisa Stauber mentioned, I loved this idea. She said a real tea party at a tea room for a little girl. So you could wrap up hat and gloves, maybe a little dress up thing. And we're going to go to a real tea party at a tea room. A trampoline park, either passes to that or a membership to that or however that works. Massages. Yes. Hallelujah. Amen. Yes. I go get massages regularly now. It's one of the best things I do. Anyway. Lisa also mentioned her 20-year-old son, who hopefully does not listen to my podcast because I actually mentioned her name. Hopefully that's okay. Sorry, Lisa. Anyway, I doubt he does, right? Anyway, she's got him a ride in a World War II tank. There's a lot of guys who would love that. An aquarium membership, a cooking class. That sounds super fun. This was the one, 3 laps in a NASCAR race. A family trip. Okay, spending the money on that and an Airbnb. One of the things that I want to do, and this isn't necessarily an experience thing, and I don't know if I'm going to get it done this year, but I really want to do a group photo of, like extended family photo session. But I don't know if I'm going to get it done. We'll see. Let's see. Oh, somebody else mentioned Baskin-Robbins gift cards. I know, I think my mother-in-law sent Brahms gift cards to my kids, $5 each. And that was so fun just to go. And they got to eat each, like, full on get the biggest thing that they wanted. Now, not as big of a deal, but when they were little and we used to be like, nope, single scoop, that's all you get. It was really fun for them to get to do that. Just kind of some ownership in there. Disney on Ice, manicure, pedicure, craft classes. I love this. KF Sunshine said that her town has a shuttle bus and her little kids would love a gift certificate to ride around on it. I'm like, I can totally see that. I loved the idea of, and this might have been her again, but symphony visits for her teenager who plays the violin. I think this is really, again, something where you go, oh, I would really like to do this for my kids. Oh, my kid really is obsessed with theater now or is obsessed with this. And you just kind of go through life thinking, okay, Christmas is a great time to splurge on that kind of stuff that's their personal interest. I love, it was a Land Rover off-road driving class that somebody had said. A hotel with a pool. Totally, yes. A hot air balloon ride or a helicopter ride. Maybe you have local touristy stuff that, you can possibly do in the off season. Gymnastics classes, things that could go with that would be a leotard, maybe a hula hoop for the young ones. They do stuff like that in those classes sometimes. Pool passes, amusement park passes, spa days, paint nights, ladies painting nights. Train tickets for the zoo. I got the impression that this family already has a zoo membership, but that she, feels bad not being able or not, having in the budget to pay for the kids to ride the train every time. But, if you can get tokens for the train or little tickets for the train or something so that they get to kind of spend that themselves, it's something to be excited about because they know that's something they love to do, but it also kind of helps them budget out, when they get to do it. This one makes me laugh. The answer was, it is for sure not a single skydiving ticket. Ask me how I know. And I think this is actually really important. If you're going to have somebody, if you're going to give someone an experience gift, think about the whole experience. I mean, realistically, you know, there's a lot of stuff, especially for a teenager or for an older kid, they want to do it with their friend, you know, so that's actually the gift. Instead of, here, I'm giving you this, and then hopefully you can find a friend who's willing to pay for themselves and go with you. Instead, it's like, no, here's this. And then, you know, and then also a pass for a friend or something like that. Let's see. Oh, an escape room. I thought that would be a really fun one too when family was all together. I loved an idea. Several people had the idea, 12 envelopes with outings for the year, which some of those could cost money and some of them might not. So they're like ideas were ice skating, hiking, going to a movie, frozen yogurt gift certificates, mosaic studio, which is like a craft studio. I know that there's one near me, but, you know, where you just go and they have all the supplies there and you get to make a mosaic. You know, and then I loved one that looked like all free stuff. Anyway, a coupon book for, you know, the kid gets to pick tomorrow's meal, gets to sit out on the cleaning session. Yay. Do I get one of those coupons? Anyway, but those are just some ideas that I would love to continue hearing your ideas that you might have. And I think, again, just to remember that these are great ideas, but please don't forget to focus on the person that you're giving to or the person who gave it to you. Whichever situation that you're in, remember that, you know, it's important for us to appreciate each other, because the gifts that somebody gives, somebody giving me a gift is not going to be something I'm going to get mad about them. Does that make sense? Mad at them about. Anyway, that may not make sense. I am feeling much better, but I have had a headache today, so we'll see. Anyway, sorry for coughing into the microphone, but I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.